back to the video, guys. So this is part 3. So in this part, we're going to be using use effect, use state, use params to pass the ID from the front end to the back end. So once you click on the image that you searched for, the ID is going to help give you the description to that image. And let's get right into it. So what we're going to be needing is we're going to need the const ID, it's the ID we're getting for any time we click on this. So we're getting this ID from the body is equal to use params. So we're getting it, and it's from use params, and it's getting imported here. Use params from React router DOM. And now we're going to say const. Now we're going to use that use state again because we have to be able to hold the data. So use state and say, we can just call it about and set up about data and set about data. And we're just going to use state. And okay, so now we have the use state. So what we want to do now is actually go over to the back end again. So let's split this terminal. It's fine. Split this terminal. Okay, and we're just gonna make another post request, and this time we're passing in ID as, okay, before we forget, let's use params and that. Awesome. So we're passing in this ID rather than character. So we're just going to change this to ID, and we're going to change this to ID and ID. Awesome. The only thing is, let's change this to character info. That's fine. So if we come here and say developer.marvel, sorry, I closed everything out. Let's see, interactive documentation. So if you come here and say public characters, it's going to tell you that it requires an ID. So this is what we're trying to use right now, and we're getting the ID from here. So if you put a name in here, name starts with, it's going to give you a list of stuff, and one of the things it's going to give you is the ID. So let's go back. Okay, so is this, just make sure you have rest.send info.data, rest.send info.data. Let's not call it the same thing. Let's just say info ID. Let's do that. Info ID dot character. That does what it's supposed to do. Awesome. So once again, that's it for the back end. We didn't really do much. We just copied this back down, did this, and we're all set here. So let's close this out. So here, let's go back to a view. So like I said, now that this is connected to an ID, what we want to do is route it when we click on it. So first, let's import use navigate from React router DOM, and this is going to help us navigate to other pages. So if we say const navigate is equal to use navigate, create a function. Okay, so we save that. What we can do is, give me 1 second, let me just find this. I just don't want to type it all over again, so unclick. I'll just explain this later. Unclick. Okay, so now what I just did was I just made this image a button by giving it basically a button by giving it an unclick function. So if I click any of these images, it should navigate you using this use navigate from React Router DOM. So constant navigate, this navigate variable refers to this use navigate function. So navigate, and we're using the backticks and saying backtick to, so it's to this like that. Um, Backtick, and then we're using the $sign to extrapolate data.id, and then we're just closing it back out. It's just everything in here is an arrow function basically, and we're just doing this. So now data.id is the same thing we put as the key, so it's the same. It's sending me over to where this is, if that makes sense. So we just save this. So we should be done with that for right now, and yeah, so let's finish building this out. So now we're going to use something called a use effect. So what a use effect does is, if whenever a page is clicked on or opened, let's say I just clicked on this image, once I click on it, it renders everything I need on that page immediately per the dependency that was given. So in this page, if I didn't put anything in here and I hit search, right now it would break because we didn't make this required. So if I put if I didn't put anything in here, so let's do this. Actually, let's do that. So if I don't put anything in here, nothing shows up. Thor doesn't show up. Captain America doesn't show up. Nothing shows up. It's because nothing was submitted. That's the difference between that and use effect. For use effect, anything that I already preloaded via the code loads up here. It just, I don't have to submit anything. There's no form. It just loads up. So I'll show you what I'm saying. So use effect. Okay, so it imports it. So don't forget to import it. It should just do it automatically. So we're going to say use effect fetch data constant fetch data is equal to, and remember we're going to be using Axios, so this is going to be in a sync and await. We're going to say, I don't know where it says date, it's data. We're going to say Axios Axios dot post. Let's just import Axios here from Axios. Awesome. So Axios dot post, and now remember when we did, let's go back to the server. When we did this, for the ID, we use character information as the route, not just the localhost 5000. Now we said localhost 5000 backslash character information. So what we're gonna do is the same thing here. So we're gonna say localhost 5000 slash character info. Okay, so when we do that, what are we gonna do next? We're gonna pass in the ID. So remember the ID is here. We're using the parameter, so we're passing in this ID, and it's axios.post blah 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 slash character info slash ID. We're passing in this ID. So what we're gonna do next is say, we're gonna say this is dependent on the ID. So whatever is passed, whenever this ID is activated, or we click on that ID on in the image, and whenever we click on the image, we're going to the ID route. So whenever the ID shows up on this page, this is gonna fire. So that's why it's called a dependency. It's dependent on what the ID is. So whatever the ID is gonna cause this use effect to fire. So axios.post blah blah, and then we're gonna say const let's just say response is equal to um, oh, sorry, let's do that here. Const response is equal to, this way we can console log it. So now when we console log, so now we take, remember we take set about data and then we attach it to response here. Okay, so now we can console.log about data. Okay, so and then we're gonna call fetch data here. So let's see if this works. Oop, something went wrong. Hold on. Missing a dependency. It's fine. It's missing dependency about data. Okay. Oh, sorry. So remember when I said we need an await? So we need to await it. Let's see. Thor. And then if we click on that, so as you can see, the ID shows up for Thor. So let's inspect it. Console. It was caught in a promise, it says. Okay, what's it saying now? Give me 1 second. So it seems that so we awaited now, and the problem is we didn't put that data, and let's see, constant response await dot post. Okay, so here we need the HTTP, and that should give us something. So let's clear this out, clear this page, and yep, so it's giving us something here. Awesome. So what we want to do is say, let's see, console flash async, localhost / character info. Okay, so I believe it should just be character info, not camel case. Yep, character info. So it's going to an undesignated route. Awesome. Okay, so what do we have as the result? We have one result, which is whatever we clicked on. So we clicked on Thor. The ID is this. It matches with that. And all we do now is do what we did in the view. So we're just doing the same thing that we did here and the same thing we did. Yeah, same thing we did in the view. So we're just going to do the same thing in about. All right. So now we're going to say, what do we have here? So we're going to say, what's it called? We're going to say about data, which is about data that response. So we're going to say response.data.data and about data.data here. Oops. Oh, okay. It's because I did this. So let's see, JSX20 console log. So response.data. Oh yeah, this. So remember, this is a representation of about data here. So I don't have to add data here also. And as you can see, it gives you the total results here. And here you go. So what we're doing here is about data and about data dot, what are we looking for? Results. Okay. And then we're going to map through it. We're going to call this data also. Awesome. And then we're going to return. Let's return the, what did I return first here? Let's see. I returned, okay, let's return the image first. So we're just doing the same thing over again. So let's just return the image. Let's see. So I'm just going to return that image again. It's the same way we did it the first time. I just don't want to do it again. Oh, so remember, we didn't add an image size here. So const image size. And it was called, what image size would we use? I think fantastic or something like that. Yep, standard standard. Fantastic. So we're gonna say the same thing here, and there we go. So it's gonna give us. Remember, we need to add the key to it also. So the key is gonna be the same thing, and the key is going to be data.id. Okay, so if we do this, do that. We just made a boo-boo. Let's see. There's still an error. So if we look through our code here, so set about response data.data, which makes this about data.data, and then about data.data. Oh, got you. So we can say about.data.results and this. There we go. So that should fix it. And then keep the key the same. So if we do that, just do this. Yep. So everything sure it's correct. So we're just gonna keep going with that. And we're gonna say now what do we need next? So we got this. So just make sure you put this in a return and do that. So let's give this a div. So this is what we're gonna use to style it later on. Let's do this first. And there you go. So key should have unique key. Yeah, that's fine. It's I don't know why it's saying that, but because we gave it a key already. It might be from previously. So let's see. So we do that. Now, what else did we have here? We're gonna have the name. Actually, I'm just gonna copy all of this. Let's see. Let me just copy this part. Yep. So we're just gonna have this. Let's put this. Let's add div. Awesome. So now we can say this data.name and it should pop up. There we go. So it should say that. Let's take out all this styling first and then we'll do that later. So no one gets confused. And then we do that. And as you can see, it says Thor right there. That's so if you look at it, the results, and then you click on this. So you're gonna see that the name is Thor. So you can go a step further and say, let's see what else we have. We have the description. So you can always say, so you can say P and then say data dot, and you want the description here. So just say data dot description. And there you go. So it says the description right there. Now with the comics, you can always say, let's go back. It's just a lot to type out. So since I already have the source, I can just do that. So we're going to open another div apparently, and then name it comics. So let's do that. So let's open up another div. And the reason we're using another div is because we're going to use another map function. There it is. That's what I was trying to do earlier. There we go. So now I can say div, and we're fine. There we go. So if I paste this in there, let's just take out all this. Let's take this out. Cool. And let's take all this out. We'll come back and do that later. So here it says Thor's Comics, and then below it, what we're gonna do is run another map function. So this one's a bit tricky because as you can see in the original source, you're gonna be using a UL. So let's actually just do this, and you'll see what I mean. So before we save it, let's just comment it out, and then we work through it step by step. So let's make this bigger. All right, so we're just gonna walk through this step by step. So we're gonna say UL. We're not styling it, so we don't have to worry about that right now. So UL is just unordered and unordered list. And the reason we're using an unordered list is because if you come over here and you look at the comics section, there are multiple items in an array. So like multiple items, and they're all what's it called? They're all it's basically in a list. So it's a list. It's a list of items. So the only way React's gonna let you get all this information is if you put them in the correct tag, which is an unordered list. So when you come here, you put it within that tag of unordered list, and then you say data.comics.items. So as you can see, this is the data. Let's use one of them. Is this one? So results. So actually, we're not going to say. Yeah, we're going to say data. So data.comics. So remember, data is this over here. So we're using that data, this data here, because remember, we're still within the return function. So everything here is still corresponding to this data. So we're going to say data.comics, and comics is here, dot items. So this array right here. So this array of items. And then we're going to say, we're going to map through it, and we're going to call this variable comics. Comics is going to be the variable. Just like we had data as the variable here, we're going to have comics as a variable here. And then we're just going to do the same thing we did. Say arrow, and it's going to be return div. Okay, we're going to put it within the div. We're going to say it's a list item, and we're going to list everything within the p tag. So give it a key, and the key is going to be comics.id. So this comics.id. So here it was data.id because we were using data as the variable. So data comics.id, and we're gonna say what else? Yep, that's pretty much it. And then we're just gonna render comics.name. So as we have all this, yep. And as you can see, there's a list of, I believe it's 20, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Yep, it gives us 20. It only gives us 20, and limit is 20. So we get 20 comics, and there you go. So that's pretty much all of it. So if we go back to this, let's say captain, and it's going to render all the captains, and that's Captain America. Once you click on that, it shows everything there. So yep, that's pretty much it for how it works. Let's just take this out. So now what we want to do is say, so basically we're all done. What we want to do now is fix all the CSS, and then we'll come back to a front end error handling. So let's say we clicked on something and there's no information to be had. Rather than it just being blank, it would tell us that there's no information. So first, let's start with the view component. So when we go back and say captain, or just to make customizations to this, we're gonna do it in the view. So in the interest of not dragging this video out too long, we're just gonna make another part that's gonna handle more of the CSS and the styling, the CSS, the styling, and a couple of quote unquote error handling in the front end side. So basically, if things don't appear, instead of leaving it blank, we're gonna have text saying information not available, things as such. But yeah, let me know what you think. Leave a comment in the comment section, and don't forget to like the video. See you on the next one.